I know many people on the internet are concerned whether I'm okay or I drown in one of these Brock Lesnar's milk buckets. I'm okay, I'm doing well, and yes, it's been a while since I recorded a video. Even the latest video was actually recorded, a few days before I made it public. So it kind of feels like I don't even know how to talk in English anymore. My inner Vladimir Kozlov is coming out.
Because I love WWE.
And many people want to know the reason. Well, all I gotta say, if you suspend Brock Lesnar, you suspend me. I took it personally, so, it's fair to say I was drinking. I was drinking a lot. I know it's only been like a week, but it feels like a month. I honestly miss this. I miss this so much. I want to make videos for Greatness TV, so I'll definitely do it this month. I love this. I honestly do, and I've seen so much support on Twitter for whatever reason. I don't know. People are making these tier lists and mentioning me in some of their favorite content creators, and that feels good. I miss this. It all comes down to just me getting these periods of that didn't sound right. What I'm trying to say is sometimes I get these moments where I just can't enjoy professional wrestling anymore. Anything I watch doesn't excite me, and I don't want to feed you this negativity just because of how I felt about the show. Maybe it was a good show after all, I just didn't enjoy it. So I'd rather just take a break, take a breath of fresh air, and try to enjoy it for what it is, instead of treating it like a job. And lately, I got a few brand deals, so I could honestly just allow myself to do that and not lose any money, so that also really helped. Wrestling always comes in waves for me. I'm either really interested in wrestling or I just don't give a shit whatsoever. And that shitty feeling mostly comes after the big pay-per-views. Everything just feels so unimportant and, but I'm back. And I'm better than ever before. Maybe. I'll try to be more positive, I was honestly inspired by Chad Gable. Look at this enthusiasm.
The 4.0 as validated.
You just gotta find something that makes you happy. And I don't think this episode of Raw was that bad. I actually expected a lot more from WWE after the draft, because last week I hated the show. Maybe it's just because that's how I felt, but I felt like the show was really horrible and I just couldn't make a review. This show was okay. I don't think it was great, but it was watchable. We got a few highlights, I guess. So let's talk about it. The show actually kicked off with Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. We saw these interviews before the match, and Bianca said, yes, I lost last time because, I wasn't training for Becky Lynch. I was training for Sasha Banks. That excuse makes so much sense. Like when she was training for Sasha Banks, she was like, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna hit my finisher. But once Becky Lynch came out, she was like, what are these? Are these my feet? Okay, Bianca, think. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. And that's why she lost. She wasn't training for Becky Lynch, she was training for Sasha Banks. And Becky said, I'll win, I'm a man. Yeah. So we saw the match and it was actually pretty good. I don't know why WWE feel like so many people are interested in this. Maybe they are, but I never really... I don't know, I'm just not feeling this rivalry so far. It was good at the beginning, but then they included Sasha Banks and Charlotte and it was just a bunch of weirdness. Now the match itself, like I said, was pretty good. And as expected, Becky Lynch won when Belair landed on the exposed turnbuckle and, we saw a roll-up or something like that. And Becky wins, Becky retains, she's the man, I have a penis. Her words, not mine. It's okay, I guess, but after they just exchanged the championships, for me, the championship means absolutely nothing. And let's be honest right here, WWE, from what we know right now, don't treat the women's world championships like they treat the males world championships. You wouldn't see Roman Reigns and Big E exchanging the championships. I can't even imagine that. But when it comes to women's division, all of a sudden that just feels okay. I don't know, that's the vibe I got. And it shouldn't be that way. So it made me feel like this championship is just a prop. And also before the match, he said, right after I gave birth, I did 24 push-ups. I could have done 25, but whatever. And anyone who's been following me and my channel knows that the reason she couldn't do 25 is because she didn't watch Ryback's motivational videos. If she did, she would have done these push-ups while giving birth.
It's about power, hunger, and drive and the motherfucking will to survive.
Kevin Patrick needs one of these moisturizers or whatever. I'll get to that back later. He was interviewing Dominic and Rey Mysterios. We see Austin Theory. He took a couple of photos, you know, basically disrespecting the Mysterios. And look at this. Patrick, you have itchy balls. Patrick has itchy balls. Why the wrestling world is so obsessed with height? My man is always changing heights. So we saw Rey Mysterio versus Austin Theory, which was pretty awesome. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's the same thing, but it kind of feels like Austin Theory has this kind of a legend killer's gimmick. Don't get me wrong, it's not as good, not even close, but lately he's been facing all of these legends, and I guess he's facing all of these idols. And that's kind of similar, and I actually dig that. You know, it's a great way to build Austin Theory with him beating all the established superstars. Dominic Mysterio tried to help. He punched Austin Theory while he was in the 619 position. Bobby was in the 69 position, that's why he wasn't on the show. Referee saw it and disqualified Rey Mysterio, so Austin Theory won the match. That doesn't matter. Like my good friend Vin Diesel says, family matters the most.
I'm in love with the interview.
It's okay, Dominic, mijo. I still love you. Booyaka.
So that was pretty fine, and again, during this show we actually got some cool wrestling. We see Seth Rollins, who won a Fatal 4-Way Ladder match last week and became the #1 contender to Big E's WWE Championship. The only thing missing right now is a title around his waist, and this contract guarantees that he's the next WWE Champion. He was about to read it, but we see Big E. Big E says, you know, it kinda bothered him that last week Rollins didn't shake his hand, but like his aunt said, don't worry because there's something deeply wrong with Seth Rollins' mind. We saw some back and forth, and you know, Rollins took shots at Kofi Kingston, King Xavier Woods, saying that, you know, him being a king and Kofi Mania basically sucked. Big E is not having that because Kofi Mania was one of the most beautiful moments in WWE history. Big E wants to face Seth Rollins tonight. Crowd are cheering obviously, but Seth Rollins says no, it's not happening tonight. He's only going to do it when he's 100%. We see Kevin Owens, and he's arguing who's the face of Raw. Big E has a strong argument because he's a champion. Seth Rollins is a dumbass, that's why he's saying he's the face of Raw, but Owens says he's the face of Raw. He proposes a match with Big E tonight, and Big E accepts because they never faced each other before. Later on the show we saw Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins talking backstage, and Seth Rollins says, I'll help you. You know, just because he wants help later from Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is being all sarcastic. He obviously doesn't accept the help, but he wasn't too aggressive about it, and that's why we got, you know, the moment I'm going to talk about at the end of the show. You know, I'm not super excited about it, but at least we got something new on Monday Night Raw, new matches, fresh rivalries, so I can't really complain. Because Carmella and Zelina Vega made fun of Nikki A.S.H's mask, we saw a match. Yes, people. Brilliant booking right here. So we saw the match in which the heel team won. Chad Gable does his thing, obviously proposes Big E to join this academy. He's been doing that a lot, but nobody joined. Maybe it's time to give up Gable. We saw Finn Bálor versus Chad Gable, and again, every time I see Chad Gable in a singles match, I'm always so impressed. And I kept thinking, you know, this guy is moving like Kurt Angle. Obviously, he looks like Kurt Angle. He has a similar gimmick, I understand that. But in the ring, he also has a very similar style. And, you know, for a guy who's not that tall, he's a strong boy. Even Corey Graves said, you know, you just can't watch Chad Gable in the ring and not, you know, make comparisons with Kurt Angle. The finish was also pretty cool. We saw a superplex, but it was Finn Bálor who pinned Chad Gable, so that was pretty awesome. It's one of these matches where, you know, even though Chad Gable lost, I think he actually got something out of it. He wasn't squashed. And, you know, people saw how great this guy truly is. Even the commentators sold it pretty well. We saw the Street Profits versus Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler or K-Bro were on commentary, and they got a new theme song. That's awesome. I believe it was a Voices with Riddle's theme song remix. Pretty good. You wouldn't expect Voices to be remixed with anything, especially Wheat Song. It's funny because you have a stoner music, and on top of that, you hear lyrics like, I hear voices in my head. It does make a lot of sense. I think he does hear voices. It basically tells us that this tag team is not breaking up anytime soon, and I'm here for it. This is the most entertaining thing about Monday Night Raw. So during this match, whatever happened in the match was great. I'm not complaining, but the highlight was Randy Orton and Riddle on commentary. People were chanting, "We want Randy." Riddle said, "They love you. I love you, Randy." Then they chanted for Riddle, so obviously these two are fans' favorites. We saw Omos. That caused a big distraction, and Ziggler and Roode won the match. And of course, after the match, Omos beats everyone. AJ Styles was not on the show, but no, he was not with Bobby Lashley. Bobby loves them women, but he's not about sharing. We saw a no disqualification match, Damian Priest versus T-Bar, and yes, on paper it sounds really weird. I know, T-Bar is not getting a push. It's not a big rivalry, but it's a no disqualification match. That's bizarre, but sometimes I love this kind of shit. This was a pretty interesting match, and it wasn't a squash match. T-Bar, for whatever reason, actually got a lot of offense, and for the first time since his main roster debut, I felt like, something can come out of this guy. I actually love this match. That's all I gotta say. Now, of course, Damian Priest won, but at least T-Bar wasn't being treated as a jobber, unlike Maze, who was defeated by Finn Balor in like under a minute. After the match, we saw Apollo Crews, and he basically challenged Damian Priest to a United States Championship match. And in the main event, we saw Big E versus Kevin Owens, which was a pretty interesting match, first time ever, and this was actually better than I expected it to be. So the match itself was awesome, but we saw Seth Rollins punching Big E. Referee didn't see it, and Kevin Owens was confused whether he should attack Seth Rollins or try to win the match by, pinning Big E. He took the opportunity, but Big E puts him in a roll-up anyway and wins the match. Seth Rollins is not happy about that, and of course Big E is suspicious of Kevin Owens. After the match, Big E says, "I know you saw that Seth Rollins punched me." Kevin Owens denies it, then apologizes, and then blames Seth Rollins. He kept making apologies, and you can't really tell whether he's turning heel or just took the opportunity in the heat of a moment, but Big E slams him anyway. It's a pretty interesting story, and I believe Kevin Owens is turning heel. And even though I would love to see Seth Rollins versus Big E, I wouldn't mind a triple threat match either. In terms of a quality of the match, I believe it would be more entertaining. Since we all know Big E is retaining anyway, at least we would get a cool match. And that was your Monday Night Raw. Not a bad show. That was not a bad show. Obviously, it's one of these shows where it's pretty hard to make a thumbnail and a title of the video because we didn't get this big highlight, but we got a new theme song. And trust me, people love to click on videos where you mention theme songs for whatever reason. But yeah, people, it feels great to be back. Before recording this video, I was like, this video is gonna suck, because if I don't record for more like 3 days, it feels so unnatural and weird. But this time, I believe it might be one of the better Raw reviews I've made in recent memory. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you for your support, the great one. Peace, love, and hugs. It's been a pleasure.